Zimbabweans, we stand before you this morning following the steady developments in the ongoing public hearings on the proposed CAP 3. What we witnessed yesterday in Harare, and indeed in other parts of the country, cannot be described as a genuine consultative process. Citizens were denied the opportunity to speak, voices were drowned out, and in some instances violence and intimidation were deployed against those expressing dissenting views. In Harare, a lawyer, Dakota, was attacked. A journalist from AFP was attacked. This is not consultation. It is orchestration. A constitutional process that excludes citizens cannot claim legitimacy. Our position as the DCP, in consent with our colleagues in the CDF and the NCA, we've taken a principled decision. We hereby disengage from the current public hearing process. This disengagement does not mean withdrawal from our rights and our demands. This disengagement means we are disengaging from participating in ZANU-PF DCC meetings. And we are demanding a proper consultative process must organize in every constituency. But we are also saying that in the event that Parliament denies us this, we will engage the people of Zimbabwe under Section 59 of the Constitution. Give Zimbabweans an opportunity to participate in a consultative process, to have their voice heard in the constitution-making process. We want to make it clear. We want to make it clear that ZANU-PF will not be allowed to railroad CAP 3 in Zimbabwe. I would like to, for this moment, to yield to my colleague, Tendai from CDF.
Thank you, JC. So the position is very clear. Since the commencement of this parliamentary public hearings on Monday the 30th, beginning with the large city hall in Bulawayo, Ngeta in Bulawayo, Chitungwiza Aquatic Complex, Dema, Pechwe Chakari, Kwekwe, Mondoro. The process has been lacerated with violence. People have been heavily assaulted. Gilbert Mtebuki in Chirenzi was left for dead. Colleagues in Bulawayo, two youths were abducted in Bulawayo. A student from Booth University was abducted on Monday. And yesterday you saw the brazen, arrogant position of ZANU-PF played out at the city sports center. The process has represented pure ZANU-PF rallies. We are witnessing a coup against the people's will. We're witnessing a brazen assault on the rights of our people. And for this reason, we are disengaging. We are withdrawing our participation from the current parliamentary process. And we demand a new process that should involve the church, the unions and civic organizations, in respect of which Parliament itself must be there. And we demand that this process be held in every constituency, a minimum of 5 meetings scattered around every province. We demand that this process it goes beyond 16 May where the 90-day ends. The 90 days is just a minimum period for consultation. We believe that the current process has failed the constitutional test. Parliament has failed to fulfill its constitutional obligations defined in Section 141 and Section 328 of allowing the public to have an input in any legislation, more so the Constitution. In 2013, with over 4,000 consultations and public meetings of COPAC. Here, the process has been reduced to 64 meetings spread over 2 days. It is clear from the people who gave evidence in Bulawayo and across that an average of 120 persons have given evidence across in every province, and that is not good enough. In Bulawayo, for instance, about 70 people gave evidence. Yet this is a city of more than a million people. In Chitumbi's aquatic complex, only 15 people gave evidence. Yet there are more than 1 million people in Chitumbi's. In Epworth, there were about 80 people who gave evidence. Yesterday, there were about 100 people who gave evidence at the 60% center from ZANU-PF. So Harare alone, with a population of over 2 million, has had less than 200 people giving testimony. So this is not good enough, and that is why we are disengaging. We are also going to solidify our partnership, the partnership of the NCA, the CDF, and the DCP. So in the next few days, we are going to make a certain important announcement around the creation of a coalition, a ground alliance in defense of the Constitution, and those announcements will be made very soon. So as Jameson has emphasized, we're going to exercise our rights in terms of Section 59, because that's where our people are. That's where our people are. Other battles clearly will be fought in court, including a forthcoming application which we are going to file to seek to declare that the current process has not met the constitutional test and that Parliament has failed to fulfill its constitutional obligation of public consultation. So it's going to be a long, tough road, but we've committed ourselves to defend this.
To what has already been said, we are very clear that as Zimbabweans, we cannot have our constitution made by a few people, a constitution made for the personal interests of a few people. This bill has been rejected roundly, and you can get the mood in the country. The public consultations that are now described as parliamentary processes, as far as we are concerned, they are nothing but ZANU-PF rallies dressed up as parliamentary processes. We wanted and we had called upon all people of Zimbabwe to go to the hearings. At the time, we thought that Parliament would do the decent thing of at least providing some minimum framework for Zimbabweans to express themselves. And then by yesterday, which is the second day, it became clear that they are not doing that they are involved in something else, which is what you are saying. Only one view must be expressed. That is completely contrary to what parliamentary processes ought to do. So for that reason, we cannot continue to be part to this, mainly because it's not safe for anyone. In Harare, as you saw yesterday, all of us leaders, including everyone with some who are not here, you saw what they did to Doug Coulthard. Completely in the eyes of the members of parliament who are supposed to preside over, completely in the eyes of the police, completely in the eyes of the whole world, because those things were beamed to everyone. Now, if they don't care about that, it means that it's risky for our members. And when we urged people to go in, we didn't think that it would be really a death trap, because yesterday we could easily have been seriously harmed. So that is for the reason. So we can't be part to that, but we know that Parliament has a duty to do proper consultation. And as our colleague, Honorable Timber, has said, There ought to be, we are not giving up on this. We would not allow the so-called amendment to get through. It won't be the law of this country. Never, ever. We will not have that. So we'll adopt processes that will ensure that the people of Zimbabwe express themselves, and then we also challenge, we still have processes in the courts, and we are going to have other processes in the courts. Those things would happen. We would be working together. I think Tendai will talk about that in indicating how we move forward from here. But I want to be clear, as NCA, together with our colleagues, we are not going to be further apart to these processes. So we have told our people not to bother going. Let it be a ZANU-PF thing. Let them do what they are. But I can tell you that ZANU-PF can never, ever impose its will in this matter. It is not going to be allowed. And Zimbabweans must be sure that that won't happen. Thank you.
And the CDF. There are other colleagues that are not here, and other organizations that are not here that are part of us. I think I want to emphasize the fact that we cannot continue legitimizing a process that is a farce, a process that is a shame, a process that has been clearly been hijacked by a ZANU-PF. A process that has been so corrupted. We saw what happened in Bulawayo, at large city hall, at Ngeta, what happened in Chituliza Aquatic Complex, in Dema, in Kwekwe, in Chirez, and most importantly, the whole world, including new members of the fourth estate, saw the brazen violence, arrogance, and hubris of what happened in the City Sports Center yesterday afternoon. So we cannot continue legitimizing a process that is clearly illegal. A process that in any event was already rigged. In 2013, the constitutional making process had over 4,000 public meetings scattered across the entirety of Zimbabwe. They are conducting at most 6 consultations in provinces such as Mashonaland West, Mashonaland East, Midlands. And the figures and the data is that at most they are receiving 200 views in a province. That surely is not good enough. That surely doesn't meet the test. The Constitution is very clear in section 141 and in section 328. There has to be public consultations, and members of the public have to be given adequate time and opportunity to present their views. This is clearly not happening. So we are clearly disengaging forthwith, but as Jameson has said, we demand a proper process of public consultation that should be held in every constituency on a minimum of 5 days. So in our view, and this process should extend way beyond the 90 days that end in May. This process should be inclusive. It should involve the church, the unions, and Parliament itself should be present to hear what the citizens will say. Obviously, we are now going to work towards building an alliance, a coalition, and broad alliance in defense of the Constitution. So we are going to work together and make the future necessary announcements in due course once the paperwork has been done. We'll remain with the people. We'll remain on the ground. We'll remain in communities, but we also have our own legal options. And part of the obvious thing we are going to do is to basically ask the court to make a declaration that Parliament has failed to fulfill its constitutional obligation. It is a sad day indeed, watching the evolution of a grand coup that is set to create a dynasty and a monarchy in Zimbabwe. And the 3 organizations that are here, we reject that. And I want to emphasize what Professor Maduku has said, that we will not allow ZANU-PF to steal our constitution. We will not allow ZANU-PF, essence of the liberation struggle, and will not allow ZANU-PF to steal our dignity over our dead bodies.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I think our position is clear. The defense of the Constitution is now firmly in the hands of the citizens. I thank you.
It is very clear. We will demand a referendum. We don't take away a referendum merely because ZANU-PF is threatening violence. I think there's a view I've heard people saying if they can rig the public consultations, they can also rig the referendum. They are not going to be able to rig the referendum. A referendum is a minimum, a non-negotiable aspect. We've said it. So we'll get a referendum, whether through the courts or through mere action by the people. And we want a referendum. I also have heard the view that ZANU-PF actually thinks that these so-called consultations can substitute a referendum. Now these are separate. What is happening is under Section 141 and Section 328 of the Constitution, where Parliament must consult before it then sits to determine. So that's different. It's a consultation. After Parliament has finished, then whatever it comes up with, if it then adopts the bill, it must go to the people. So a referendum is unavoidable. If, for example, they decide that they take it to the president before it is taken to the referendum, then even better, because we will challenge that. We will get a determination that says this is invalid because there was no referendum. Perhaps the courts will give them an option to say we suspend that and then go to a referendum. So we are still demanding a referendum. I think Timber has made it very clear that disengagement in this case is just disengagement from these ZANU-PF rallies. That's what we are disengaging from. We are disengaging from ZANU-PF rallies. But we then continue on a very broad debate, people's process, which would ensure that we stop this bill ever becoming the law of the country. So a referendum is unavoidable. Perhaps if he allows the chair that, I should use this opportunity to make it clear that there's so many arguments which are coming across, legal arguments, so to speak, which say that a referendum is not necessary. Or even one which is very strange, which says that a referendum is prohibited by the Constitution. That one I would describe it as the strangest of them all. Now, what you can say is, whatever the position, we will make clear ourselves that as far as we are concerned, a referendum is legally required in this case. And we'll take each other to the place where these things are determined. Ultimately, a court will have to decide between the arguments we are making and the argument that others are making. But I have no doubt in my mind, and we are all operating on that basis, that the ultimate destination would be a referendum, either through the legal process we get from the courts or through the sheer pressure of the people. The people in this country will get a referendum, whether they like it or not.
Just to add there that referendums, one is just removing the entrenched term limit provision. So if Mr. Mnangagwa and Parliament and anyone benefiting from the extension wanted to benefit himself or herself as an incumbent, then there has to be another referendum. So we demand our referendum, and as Prof. Maduku has said, there is no option, there is no alternative, there is no way that you can avoid these referendums. And their bill itself is aware that there is that obligation, which is why it says in clause 4.2a that notwithstanding clause 3.2.8, because they know that it's a mandatory obligation. So we demand our referendum. We demand our referendum if Mr. Mnangagwa and the current parliament wants to be a parliament in 2030.
Thank you. Also, that whether 95% of the ZANU-PF people say they like this does not change the fact that Parliament still has to make a decision. So Parliament can still say they don't want to do, irrespective of what is said. So this process is a process only of consultation. It does not change the law. Okay. It also does not change the requirement for a referendum, which is incorporated. It does not less it.
I think it's okay. It answers. We shouldn't overdo that. What we are witnessing is an abuse of power. It's an abuse. You abuse resources. You go out there and just do. Why would you bus people around? And why would you have one venue in a province or one venue in a district? It's an abuse. Yeah.
So it's carefully choreographed. There were 20 buses in Epworth that were fully fed on fast food. Those same buses were now at the City Sports Center in the afternoon. The same happened in Chitungwiza. The same crowd that was at Dema was then transported in the same buses to the Chitungwiza Aquatic Complex. It happened in Bulawayo. The same crowd that was at the large white city hall were then transported to Ngeta. The only difference is that in the morning they had chicken slice, in the afternoon they had chicken in, but the same crowd. So you are seeing this choreographed charade of ZANU-PF rallies. And the thing is so well planned. You can see the signs and echoes of Bukurawundi there, the signs and echoes of 2008. A very dangerous process. Yesterday, anything could have happened. Doug Coulter could have lost his life. You people would have lost your equipment. All of us would have been assaulted, yesterday. So quite clearly, the only logical position is that enough is enough. We can't continue legitimizing a charade, and we are therefore disengaging, but not from the constitutional process, as we have emphasized.
We had 64 DCCs of ZANU-PF and one PCC which was held at the City Sports Center, presided over by the Secretary General of ZANU-PF, who sometimes masquerades as the Speaker of the National Assembly. We can't have this.
Nyabisai, with the DCP, but also with ISO, International Socialist Organization, with Lance, who's our General Coordinator in the ISO. Thank you. I think yesterday, it was clear that this is not just a shambolic shell. This is a constitutional coup that is happening directly before our eyes. And so for those reasons, this is why you saw us say there's a united force yesterday. And there's a united force today. We are saying we are disengaging from this charade. We are calling on the people. We are disengaging in order to take this battle to where it really matters. We are disengaging to give this regime the real language it understands. The real language that it understands is the streets of this country, the factories of this country, the colleges of this country. That is a constitutionally enshrined right under Section 59 of the Constitution, the right to protest. So that is what we are going to do. But we are not saying the three movements that are here are going to do it alone. We have heard the cry of the people of Zimbabwe. We have heard the cry of the working class of Zimbabwe, the villagers, that we must do this as a united force. And this is the start that we're doing. And we are going to be consulting and uniting forces across the board for the people of Zimbabwe to speak. They have refused the people of Zimbabwe the right to speak. The people shall speak and claim their sovereignty in the streets of Zimbabwe. So that is their choice. We are ready for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Constitution. We are going to mobilize the people of Zimbabwe. This is the month that Geza called and stopped ZANU-PF from enforcing its 24 resolution. That's what we learned from Geza. And in respect and memory of Geza and all veterans and others, and that are thing, yes, we're going to protest. It's a right that we have. Fundamental to this constitution is people's sovereignty across the entire constitutional framework. And for that reason, yes, we are going. But as we said, this is going to be a united core, not just of the three of us as movements, the CDF, NCA, DCP, ourselves in Mashandi, the Sevens, ISO, but across the churches have spoken, other political organizations have spoken, the ZCTU has spoken, and so forth. So yes, we will be making consultations and uniting the people of Zimbabwe to stand up for their rights and stop this thing. This thing is not going to pass. It is not going to be 300 people who are going to pass this thing and speak on behalf of millions. If Smith in 1969 held a referendum for the white folk to do his 1969 constitution, if Mugabe held a referendum in 2000 when there were no legal constitutional obligations. And Mugabe held a referendum in 2013. Then, if those did, there is no way Emerson Mnangagwa can deny the people of Zimbabwe the right to speak and speak the sham. Thank you.
This constitution, and it's a cause which we are prepared to die for. They've assaulted us, they've beaten us up, they've arrested us, but we will not stop.
In conclusion, let me be clear. We cannot legitimize a process that silences the very people it claims to consult. The Constitution belongs to the people of Zimbabwe, and its future must be determined by them, not imposed upon them. We call upon all Zimbabweans to remain peaceful, vigilant, and engaged. The defense of the Constitution is now firmly in the hands of the citizens.